In Affinity Photo, the star tool can be used to create all kinds of unique designs. Loads of great combinations using various live effects, as well as masks, and also the various settings for the star tool. So let's just go right back to the star tool. So where is it? Over here in the tools panel. So just select that star tool, and with this, just create a basic star. Doesn't look much at the moment, but what you do get, once you've got that star, you can fill it with different things. Now I've filled it just with a gradient, and to fill it with a gradient, all you need to do is simply select that and then just go over here, click here, and you've got your options with swatches. I find that easier just to select any of the swatches you've got, something like a gradient. I've got a gradient there, and then I can manipulate that using this, the gradient tool. And you can see then I can move this backwards and forwards to create all kinds of interesting designs straight away with that star. But you can also modify other things about the star. Though you'll notice there's no controls now to manipulate the star here. What you need to do is just go down here to the star tool. And as soon as you select that, now you'll notice you get these little red dots on the screen just here. And you can modify a variety of things. Now, when you hover over it, you can see what happens. Just hover over like that, and you can see you get the cursor change. And also you'll see this red line, which you can just see there, and also the range all the way around, I think, which is a very nice visual design. And you can just then just rotate, and you can see as you do that, look, it just follows that circle. That circle, you can see that red circle. So it gives you a clue about how far it will go. And you can see that line as you just drag it down that line. That's the maximum point, or that, depending which way you want to look at it, minimal, maximum. And you can see you can just create a variety of stuff. So a star design like that doesn't look particularly like a star, more a flower design. So it can be used as a flower design tool as well. Now you can also modify them along here, and there's a lot of great functionality. You've got curved edges there, also other settings. But I'm just using these ones. And again, if I hover over there, you can see what happens. It gives you the range. So it just gives you, and also gives you a bit of a clue what it might look like as well with that circle. So you can just drag, and you can see now it goes, that creates that circular design, and it will reach that point, and that's it. That's the point, end point. Now you can't do them individually. That'd be a nice feature, but it's just for the whole lot. And again, you go over here, and you can see you've got this straight line there, and it will also give you some guides to where the sort of great points, optimal points. So you just go along there, and it will hit that, and you can see obviously you get a right angle there, which is a really nice feature if that's what you're aiming for, and just drag it further to the maximum point there. So you can see create a variety of stars there, or flower designs, and you can modify them here, as well as change the number of points. Now there's no point option here. Now that would be a nice feature. In Photoshop, they've just added a star tool, and it's got a little side thing where you can just drag. Perhaps that would be nice to have it on screen, but it's up here. You can modify it very quickly like that. So you can just add, say, 13 or 14, and you got, that's the points for that star. Well, what next can you do? Well, you can also add a mask. So if you've got a design like this, you think, well, what you need to do, go to layers. So here's the layers. And you can see at the moment it's got no mask. The mask would be here at the side. So all you need to do, with it selected, you can go here to layer and new mask layer. The great thing about the mask is to say you want it like half a star. You don't want the full star, you just want half a star. You just want the edges of the star, but you don't want all the way around or whatever. There's a variety of different ways to do this, but new mask layer. And you can see now you've got this mask. Nothing changes at this point, but you can then select that mask. Just click on it. Not this. That's the star, but click on this, and you can see you get the little square around that. And now you can manipulate the mask, and you can just add a gradient or brush strokes or whatever. So I'm just going to go with here for the gradient tool again, and just drag. And you can see now as I do this. So if I just drag like that, you can see I can move it there, I can move it there, and maybe go halfway. So you can get a design like that. Very basic star, but now a half star. All the things are still manipulable. You can still manipulate it. So you can go there, back to the star, And you can move this around. I'm just going to duplicate it now. So hold down the Alt or Option key and you can just duplicate it. And you can see now as I drag that down, you can see that nice interesting effect you can create very quickly with half a star. Or even better, you can go up here with the Move tool selected, you can just press Return or Enter on the keyboard and you get this panel. And it just means you can just go here, vertical and number of copies, duplicate. So let's put that to say 7 and you can see vertical and you can do much the same as before. So you can see a variety of different designs can be created. And also you could add some rotation to it and you can see designs like that and you can go that way. So a variety of quite unique designs from that star can be created. And then you can click OK. All that is, and you can see that, is just made up of lots of stars. And again, you can select them all. They're all live, so you can still modify them at any point. You can modify them individually, so you could select individual ones, but you can also select all of them. Go back to the star tool, and then you can see you've got settings here. So you might think, you know what, I don't want 14, I want only, say, 12 or 10. And you can just manipulate that, and you can see you can get some interesting visual effects simply by just changing the settings there and changing in a certain, and you can just change that to create something like that, maybe outer circle, depends what you want to create. Sort of maybe thin lines there, sort of pulsing outwards from your star design. Well, let's just make that easier to see. So just deselect that and you can see now you get something like that. But thousands of different combinations can be created from a basic set of stars. Now, I don't want all these stars. I'm just going to move them. Just want to show you, you can use the Move tool to create a variety of different unique designs. So let's just delete all those. And I've just got back to this one. And you can still manipulate this design. It's still live. So you can always go back to the star tool and you can still see these points. And again, you can see, again, you can click there. And because you've got lots of points, you can see you've actually also got lots of these dividers along this line. So it just clicks. Every time you just go along, click, 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 all the way there. And you can see you can build up sort of cog designs. So if you want a cog design, unfortunately, there's no sort of square feature. Now, there are, of course, other star tools available. There's a square star tool available. So if you want to use that to create some interesting cogs, and of course, other features down here, there's a cog tool as well. So a variety of options there. Okay, what you can now do is you can go again back here to the gradient tool. And if you want, you can set this, the mask, and you can manipulate this again. And you can see you can make more of it or less of it. But also you've got options here, say radial. So now you can go radial and you can see you can drag this out. You can manipulate it, you can move it around, reposition it like that. And you will see more or less of your thing. But also you can always manipulate that as well. So just click here, just go here, and just by moving this thing, you can see you can get more there or go that way, make it totally invisible. So you just get very subtle star design. It's still there, and you can add more and more of them on top of each other, create all kinds of different combinations. But let's just go for something like that, just midpoint, just move it there, and you can do this. And also, if you want to create some interesting, you can double click and then add like that. And you can change things. So let's just move that down, click here, and you can change the color. Obviously, the color doesn't affect it, but you can see by changing the color, obviously the intensity of the gray will change it. It is still a grey colour. It's just being used as grey, even though you can see it as a colour. But you can see you can just run through it and create different designs. Maybe that one, you might think, yes, that looks great. But it is still grey internally. Okay, so you've got this. You can now see you've got this mask here, but also you can select the star and you can add layer effects to it. So layer effects, just go here to layer effects, to effects. That's just down the bottom. And now with this, you can go here to layer effects and you can go through some of these. There are some are better than others. So you can go for, say, 3D. And as you do that, you can see then radius. And as you change that, you can see get this lovely sort of raised effect there. Just hits a certain point. I always find that if you just move it back and forth just to see. And also, you modify the specular there. You can see that changes that. Change the direction. See, varies that. Sometimes better than others. Maybe like that. Maybe add bevel and boss. and then go with that one and just try different settings. You can click on the profiles, just try out different profiles, create different effects that way. Personally, generally don't prefer the profile there, but you got that, and close. You could also add shadows as well. And also you can combine this again with the move tool. So with this, just go here to the move tool and press return again, and then you can do exact same as before. So duplicate, and you can change scale, number of copies, create interesting combinations there, and rotation like that. And you can see you get this lovely sort of internal effect applied because you're using the scale 79. So it's reducing each individual copy by 79%. So it goes down to create this sort of interesting sort of black hole cog effect, which I think is quite nice. It swirls inwards. And of course you can tweak these rotation, just change it like that, maybe go the other way, number of copies like that, maybe change the scale, push this out, a number of copies, and so on. So you can see you can build up some very interesting combinations. Again, click OK, or in this case, you can also modify the star with live effects as well. It's still live itself, so you can still modify the star simply going back here to the star tool, and you can see you can change it. But you can also add live effects, which are still live. So a layer, and then just down here to new live filter layer, and I'm going to go with a distort, but there's other options, of course, blurs, etc. And I'm going to go with a twirl. So select that one. And now this live effect, you can simply move the angle, change the radius, and there's lots obviously of settings here. You've also got blend modes, so you can just try out these ones. You can see the effect of that, change the opacity, etc. Also, you can preserve the alpha. I'm going to go with that turned off. And also you can modify the origin point, so you can just move it around to create all kinds of interesting star-like, or maybe like a supernova effect, or certainly a distortion effect based on some gravity. Maybe there's a black hole there, dragging the star into a black hole. So you've got that sort of effect as it drags in. So just close that, and you can see you've got it over here inside the star. You've also got the mask still, which you can still modify. And you can always go back to the twirl at any point by just going to here, just this little spiral design here, and double click. So that will bring up this and it puts it over that side. I just want to drag it over here, and you can then modify it again if you wish. Also what you can do is maybe add some color. Now you can add some color via the effects. Let's just go up here. You could just click here, and again, you've noticed you've got color overlay here. So you could just go for, say, color, maybe add some red that way. That's an option to do it. Another option would be to maybe use layer and just go down to new adjustment layer, and you can use maybe, let's see, recolor. So let's just add that. So recolor, and you got there. And now this time I might just change the hue, and you can see as I do that, maybe go with a blue design there. So you've got blue star. And of course, if you have multiple copies of these, lots of different stars all over the place, you could then use this color adjustment just to modify the color of one. And how to do that? You don't want it above everything else. What you want is just to drag it down into the star like that, and you can see it highlights. See, it just highlights the whole bar there, and then release. Now you notice it's just above that, the effect. So the effect takes precedence. So you might not want the effect. So let's just click there, and now I'm just going to remove the color overlay. So now the only thing controlling the color is going to be that recolor adjustment, which is what I want. Okay, so you've got that. You can also, again, with the star selected and the move tool, that's the key thing, press return or enter on the keyboard, and you get this move duplicate. And then you can just go up here, and you can then change the scale, and also duplicate, and number of copies. And you can see you can create some interesting effects just by dragging this down. You get this lovely design like that, and also modify the horizontal, maybe add some angle rotation, and so on. You can create all kinds of weird combinations, a galactic sort of star system, sort of furry design like that, and click OK. And you can see you then get all these stars. Now, the more you add, of course, it's going to be slightly slower to process them all. But you'll see, if you go up here, you've got all these layers, and you can, let's just put that like that, and you can select all of them. So all are selected. Go to the star tool, and then you can see you've got these points. Well, it's actually fiddly, I think, to change there, but you can just change it here. So just go here, number of points, and you can then change this. So you can just say, oh, I want 19. I don't want 33. Or you can go the other way to make it even more intense. Inner radius, change that setting, and you can see, create a variety of different designs, and outer circle, and so on. See it a bit clearly. Let's just go back to the move tool, deselect that. So you've got a sort of design like that. What you can also do is you can select all of them, and you can then group them all. So right click and group. So all in a group, and you can then go to Window and Assets. So in Assets, there's the assets there. With that selected, you can go here to this right side menu, Add from Selection, just store it away. So then you can always, at any point, just drag this over here and just rapidly create a fairly complex design. They're all independent, so you can modify all the settings or select all of the stars, because they're still stars, using the star tool, and then modify all the points for all of the designs in this. Well, let's just undo that. So I don't want that many. And let's just remove the assets and channels. So you can see it here, you've got your group, you've got all your stars, and you can, if you want, modify them obviously individually. So if you decide this one or that one wants to be in a different position, you can always move it. You can always select them and create different designs simply by just doing that, to create some very weird sort of, maybe a seaside sort of tidal waves, sort of waves flying in the sea. So you could sort of drag them all across different angles to create a sort of very interesting sort of seaside or sea scene like that very quickly, which of course can still all be modified. They can all still be selected, all can be tweaked, all the stars are still live. Go to the star tool, you can still see all these points, and all these settings can be modified. Now at any point, if you want to, you can convert it all into curves. Just click Convert to Curves, and then all the stars are gone. Now the star tool will have no effect after that, but you'll be able to manipulate the actual nodes. These nodes, they're all made up of nodes, which you can then tweak individually if you want to create some variation in this design instead of having all universally looking exactly the same. At any point, you can also remove everything. You don't need to keep the twirls. You can, of course, just simply delete them, just going down here and delete them. But you can also just remove them by clicking here, and also there. And also, if you don't want that star, you can always remove it, click again, and then simply, unfortunately, there's no feature, and I do not know why, there's no way to suddenly just disable the actual layer effects. It would be nice if there was a way of just clicking that and remove it. Doesn't seem to do that, but still, you can just simply deselect it like that. It would be nice if there was a hide feature, but sadly, no. Okay, so you've got this star design. Well, you can also, of course, use it with other things as well. You don't have to have it just as a completely separate tool. It's great as it is. You can use it as frames, which I'm just going to show you. So I've got this one, I can edit and I can copy. And now let's just go over to an Adobe stock image and then just paste it in. Obviously, it's very small. One feature that would be nice would be the ability to add them as raster layers to the design. You can't do that. In Photoshop, you can. There's three options. You've got a path option, you've got your shape option, and also you've just got your standard pixel layer selection. But there appears to be no way of doing this in Affinity Photo, which I think is a pity. Would be a nice feature to add if they could. And it would just obviously use the settings you've got here. Now, if I go and add another star, let's just go over to the star tool. Obviously, I can manipulate this, but also once I've got that, you can see I can just add another one. And you can add obviously multiple. And I can add it. So in many ways, it is similar to having obviously a pixel tool, but they're at this point still layers. So you can then, of course, just use the move tool and you can reposition them. And also, if you want, you can always click here and you can go to the color and maybe just recolor them. So you can change them. And at one point, obviously, you decide, you know what, I don't want these stars to be vector design, because that's what they are. They're vector design. So you can the star, you can also squeeze them, you can rotate them. Obviously they're all uniform, so it's not really, but you can just rotate it like that. If you squeezed it like that, there's a variety of options there. You can at any point simply go down here, like just remove that one. I seem to have got let's just get rid of that one there. I can now say select all of those, and I can just go to layer, and I can then, unfortunately, there is no feature for merge visible, merge selected, which is odd. Some features, when you select layers, you get that. Now, what you can do is let's go rasterize. So they're all rasterized. Now layer, and then go merge selected. Seems odd, but anyway, merge selected. They're all merge selected into a single pixel layer, which you can still manipulate and move around and reposition, apply effects to, etc. So if you want filters, blur and Gaussian blur, maybe to blur all the layers to create that sort of design. Or, of course, you can blend them. So you go over here, darken, run through different blends there to create some interesting combinations with an image. So let's just remove that. And now the star, just apply it. When you apply it, when you've got no stars on the screen, it will just default back to the basic 5.1 as well as inner radius. So if you want to save the settings, you can. Let's just click up here. There's an option here. So if you tweak this, and I'm just going to quickly tweak it, let's just change it, something like create something like that. You can click here, and if you haven't got this one, so I've just created this very quickly. I probably got it already, maybe. All the settings here, along here, will be saved to the presets, and this is where the presets, and all of the tools, the shape tools have got this feature. Obviously, in some cases, not much use. But in many, like the star, it's quite useful because you've got this, and you can go here to this little menu on the right side, click here and create a preset. And you can create presets, star, whatever. I don't know what other ones I've got. And you can give it a category. No, it doesn't seem to be available there. Click create. Doesn't make much sense, category there, but still does give you that option. I think anything you create, you'll notice you get this. Just get a little, your own user one. So if you click on this, you can select those ones, you can select that one, and so on, or go back to that one. And then of course you can continue, as long as the star tool is selected here, you can continue to tweak it. Once you tweaked it, you can always go back here, again, create another preset, and again, star, again, I just make random number up and click create. But obviously you could have your own naming convention for this. However, say you've got this image behind and you think, well, I want to use that image in the star. Well, you can. I mean, one of the ways I do it quickly, very quick, just select all. So select all, Control C, edit and copy, of course. And then once you've done that, you can then go over here, and I'm just going to remove the selection now, don't need that. I can then go to edit and paste inside. And now you can see, obviously, it is in there. It is in there, but you can now go to the move tool, and then you can move this around. Now, I'm moving within the star. You can reposition it within the star. Also, you can select the star itself and move the star. And you can see you get an effect like that. And, of course, with that, I can go up to this star. I can duplicate it. So hold down the Alt Option key, duplicate, create another star, create another star. This is duplicating the star with the actual image inside it. So you can then create some interesting designs very quickly with a star design with that face obviously included there. And of course you can always use blend modes. You've got other options here so you can run through different blend modes and different combinations. And also you can still select the actual image, the photo you've put into that star, select that. Long as you select this, not the star itself, you can then go to filters and go to say blur, and filters blur, maybe Gaussian blur, just apply something like that and click apply. And then you've got your star, which you can still manipulate, but now obviously you've got the image, but you've got a slightly blurred effect, and you can still move the image within that. Again, click that, move that around, rotate it to create interesting combinations there. And star, again, add effects, maybe like this one, go for 3D, and so on, and close. And you can see lots and lots of designs can be created. It's still live, so again, you can still modify this to create, say, 14 points for your star design. You've got the blur effect, you've got the image itself inside the star. Hope you found this tutorial of interest. Any questions about the star, please let me know. There's probably thousands of other things I could have mentioned, but of course the video would have gone on for at least another hour, I expect, of other options you can use with just a very basic star tool. But with Affinity Photo, star tool is obviously just one of the tools. There are lots and lots of different shapes. Arrow tool, donut tool, all can be used in a similar manner to create some truly weird and wonderful designs. Bye.